Today, we're jumping straight into a massive, I mean literally game-changing leadership shift happening at the world's most valuable company. For over a decade, we've basically known one singular face at the helm of Apple. But on April 21st, 2026, the company finally confirmed what insiders have been whispering about for years. Tim Cook is officially stepping down, with his final day marked for August 31st. So what happens to a tech giant when the guy who perfected its global machine hands over the keys? Well, we're going to break down exactly who is taking over, what this means for the devices sitting in your pocket right now, and how the very DNA of Apple is about to fundamentally change.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because to really grasp where Apple is headed, you absolutely have to appreciate the sheer, unbelievable scale of the empire Tim Cook built. Think back to when Cook took over as CEO in August 2011. Apple was valued at $350 billion, and people were so skeptical. Analysts everywhere were just repeating, "He's no Steve Jobs." But Cook went and built an absolute financial juggernaut. Under his watch, Apple's stock shot up nearly 2,000%, and that valuation ballooned to a staggering $4 trillion. That's trillion with a T. He navigated antitrust lawsuits, insane geopolitical challenges, and basically turned Apple into an unparalleled global machine. But here's the really fascinating trade-off to all that massive financial success. Tim Cook's genius was never actually about the products themselves. His superpower was company systems, supply chains, manufacturing deals, and diplomacy. As one Apple insider put it pretty sharply, Tim doesn't participate in the product development. Cook basically extracted maximum value from the incredible product vision left behind by Steve Jobs. But over time, that lack of hands-on product creation at the very top naturally created a vacuum. Apple got a bit cautious, pretty predictable, and heavily focused on extracting money through software services. They really needed a new kind of leader to actually build the future.
And that sets up this perfect historical evolution that we're watching unfold right now. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. We started with Steve Jobs, the thinker, who drove the innovation era where entirely new industries were literally born from a single keynote. Then came Tim Cook, the operator, mastering the expansion era to scale the iPhone into the hands of billions and build that $4 trillion fortress. Now we are entering a third phase. Meet John Turnus, the builder. This really marks a return to a true hardware era, shifting the company's ultimate focus away from logistics and right back to pure, unadulterated engineering.
Section 1. Meet John Turnus, the mechanical engineer, taking the wheel.
So, Turnus officially takes the big chair on September 1st, 2026. And while you might recognize him from his recent, pretty slick appearances at Apple keynotes, it's his roots that make him so incredibly fascinating for this job. Turnus actually graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a degree in mechanical engineering, and his time there brilliantly illustrates who he is at his core. For his final university project, long before he ever stepped foot in Cupertino, he built a robotic feeding arm for patients with quadriplegia, and it was entirely controlled by head movements. I mean, this isn't a supply chain manager we're talking about. This is a deeply technical, hands-on problem solver. A real engineer who wants to get into the absolute granular details of how a physical product works to actually help people.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because his fingerprints are already all over the devices you use every single day, spanning a decades-long career. Turnus joined Apple way back in 2001, starting out with those iconic, high-resolution, flat-panel LCD cinema displays. Those masterpieces of design that actually still work today. Moving into the 2010s, he worked on the iPad right from the very first prototype. He famously pushed internally and fought hard to give the iPad its own operating system so the hardware wouldn't be held back by iPhone software, and he won that argument. He oversaw AirPods. He was totally instrumental in the massive 2020 transition to M-series Apple Silicon, the chips that completely revolutionized Mac battery life and performance. And just recently, in 2026, he personally announced the $599 MacBook Neo.
Section 2. The builder's track record, foresight, and flaws.
So Turnus has a crazy sharp read on reality. Drawing from his own failed experiences with VR back in the 90s, he was heavily skeptical of the Vision Pro headset. Plus, he correctly predicted that the Apple self-driving car would just drain profits and distract their core engineers. And, well, he hit the nail on the head on both fronts. But actually, let's be fair, his record isn't flawless. He was at the helm for the highly criticized Touch Bar and, crucially, the infamous butterfly keyboard fiasco. That was a really sticky situation that ultimately resulted in a $50 million class action settlement. So yeah, it's a bumpy record at times, but it absolutely proves he's a realist who learns from some very hard engineering lessons.
And all those lessons kind of culminate in this exact number right here, $599. The MacBook Neo, which just released last month to universal acclaim, is a laptop with unbeatable build quality at a price point we frankly just aren't used to seeing from modern Apple. Under Tim Cook, Apple made great but notoriously expensive products. This $599 price tag signals Turner's entirely new philosophy. He wants to deliver genuinely great, premium products not just for top-tier professionals, but at prices enthusiasts and everyday people can actually afford. It is a massive shift in direction.
Section 3. The Local AI Strategy. Invisible Integration.
So the crucial point is that while the rest of the tech industry is frantically spending hundreds of billions of dollars chasing cloud AI, which forces massive data centers, expensive monthly subscriptions, and huge privacy risks down our throats, Apple is charting a totally different course. They're going all in on local AI. By packing their Macs with massive amounts of unified memory, we're talking sometimes surpassing 100 gigabytes, they're allowing users to run large language models locally, right on the machine. That means complete privacy, no data harvesting whatsoever, no monthly subscriptions, and the best part? It doesn't even require the internet.
But why is Turnus the exact right guy to pull this off? Well, because making AI truly invisible requires a flawless marriage of silicon and code. Turnus is literally the only executive there with a proven track record of integrating tightly woven hardware and software products. He's already leading Apple's underlying AI framework, the MLX interface software layer. He completely gets that for AI to work the Apple way, it shouldn't just be some clunky chatbot pop-up. It should just work perfectly in the background without you ever even noticing it's there. Which honestly brings us to a really provocative question. Under a true engineer, someone focused on local, empowering technology rather than just chasing subscription revenue, will Apple get its soul back? Can they finally move past simply refining the supply chain and return to creating those magical, thoughtful tools for the mind?
Section 4. The hardware era begins. The experimental roadmap.
To answer that question, we really just have to look at how the chess pieces have been moving behind the scenes for the last 2 years. Turnus has already reorganized Apple's hardware engineering division to deeply, seamlessly integrate AI right into product development. And just look at what they are tinkering with. We're expecting a foldable iPhone to be Turnus' massive first keynote announcement as CEO later this year. Plus, he's actively experimenting with a 20-inch foldable iPad that totally blurs the line between a tablet and a laptop. He's pushing forward on AI-powered smart glasses, and get this, even a wearable computer vision pendant. This is a massive, ambitious pipeline born directly from a builder's curiosity.
Now, I know some corners of the internet love to claim that this transition is a panic or crisis move, but it's just not. During a recent all-hands meeting, Tim Cook explicitly stated the product roadmap is stronger than it's ever been. John Turnus is ready. Cook wanted to leave on a high note, and he absolutely did. He's handing over the reins right after Apple's strongest holiday quarter in history, clearing north of $140 billion. So everything is perfectly lined up for a clean, powerful handoff.
So what does this all mean for us? We're literally standing on the edge of a brand new era. Tim Cook took Steve Jobs' vision and turned it into an unstoppable, highly profitable global machine. But now, the mechanical engineer is taking the wheel. Will Apple's new hardware era under John Turnus bring back those genuine, breathtaking surprises of the past? Or will it simply refine the incredibly successful present? Only time will tell. But one thing is absolutely certain. The era of the builder has officially begun.